months after his death. Good morning. Thanks for joining us on this Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I'm Joe Fryer. Savannah is on assignment. Ready or not, the first nominating contest of the 2024 presidential campaign is now upon us. Republican voters in Iowa will caucus tonight to pick their state's nominee. Former President Trump is counting on his backers' enthusiasm as his rivals crisscross the state, hoping to win over those who are still undecided. Hardy Iowa caucus goers will have to face dangerous sub-zero temperatures to show their support.
You're going to be first in the nation, so brave the weather and go out and save America, because that's what you're doing.
You're never going to have an opportunity where your voice and your vote is going to pack as much of a punch as it will tomorrow night.
I know it's going to be cold tomorrow. I get it. I know it's going to be cold. But think about this. You get to set the direction for the country.
A new NBC News Des Moines Register and Mediacom poll shows that Trump has a nearly 30-point lead over former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, followed by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy. In just a moment, we're going to go one-on-one with NBC News senior political editor Mark Murray to discuss the final poll heading into the caucus. But let's begin with NBC News correspondent Ali Vitale in Des Moines and senior national politics reporter John Allen. Allie, let's start with you. After steering clear of Iowa in the final week leading up to the caucuses, former President Trump, he returned to the state over the weekend, continues to enjoy that comfortable lead in all the polls. So what is his strategy heading into the caucus?
Well, look, Joe, he continues to enjoy that comfortable lead. He's had that, frankly, the entirety of this primary. He's also continued to be comfortable hitting down at whoever is in second, ensuring that that lead stays as large as it is right now. For him, we saw him over the course of the prior few months continually attack Ron DeSantis. That could be in part an explanation for why DeSantis has seen such a decline in the polls here in Iowa. Instead, we see DeSantis's momentum being eclipsed by that of former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, and that's probably why Haley was drawing the ire of Trump. It's something that the Haley campaign is certainly aware of, something that you hear Nikki Haley herself often dismiss as the fellas coming at her. But certainly this has been Donald Trump's strategy the entire time, not just fight his battles in court, which in theory should be a political liability. Instead, he's trying to turn that into an asset and something that helps coalesce his base around him. And he's also hitting back at whoever his nearest rival is, or really whoever his rival is. We've seen him spar with, I think, every single person left in the field at this point, even Vivek Ramaswamy, who has been sort of frenemy to him out here on the campaign trail. So it's Trump and everyone else, and I think Trump is making that known out here.
All right. So, John, we know this is really then because of that largely viewed as a race for second place between Haley and DeSantis. What does a win look like in Iowa for either of those candidates, and what are their possible scenarios moving forward?
Yeah, it's a great question, Joe. Number one, for either one of these candidates getting into second place, and when I say either one, I mean Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis, winning second place is the big win. Then you could talk about margin a little bit. In the latest NBC News poll, as you showed, Trump's got 48, Nikki Haley's got 20, Ron DeSantis has 16, which sets its own expectation. If you're Ron DeSantis and you came in third in that final Iowa poll and you get it to second, then you get to tell your donors that you've got a little bit of momentum, that the polls don't always show the truth. You get to tell your supporters that. Nikki Haley, she comes in second here. She is right now in second place in New Hampshire, closer to Trump in New Hampshire than she is in Iowa. She gets to claim a bounce if she comes in second. But again, if you zoom out, the big picture here is that Donald Trump is the dominant force and the prohibitive favorite, not only to win in Iowa, but also to win the Republican nomination.
So, Allie, with both DeSantis and Haley going back and forth at each other, trying to get those undecided voters, I know you got to speak with the former South Carolina governor recently. She didn't hold back. What did she have to say?
Yeah, we spent some time with her backstage before one of her events yesterday, and she's not holding back when it comes to DeSantis. Of course, that's not exactly new. They're not holding back when it comes to each other. I think many of us watched that one-on-one debate. But DeSantis has unveiled a sort of new strategy, not saying that he's going to go next to New Hampshire after Iowa, but that he'll go immediately to South Carolina. It is a sort of challenge in Nikki Haley's home court, and one that I asked her about from her rival. This is what she said about it.
I mean, he's only played in Iowa. He's invisible in New Hampshire. He's invisible in South Carolina. He's fourth and fifth place in both of those. I mean, I welcome him to South Carolina, but we're headed to New Hampshire. That's the next state that votes. Somebody might want to tell him that.
There's that South Carolina charm of, I welcome him. It's like the equivalent of a political bless your heart, I think, Joe. But still, I don't think there's much love lost between these two candidates. And for Nikki Haley, she knows that her road to Trump goes through Ron DeSantis. It's why they're hoping for a second place finish here so that they can solidify the theme that they've been pushing towards the entire time. They want to now underscore it with results. The idea that it is Haley versus Trump, a one-on-one race for the Republican nomination, despite the fact, as John said, the forest from the trees here is that this is Trump's race to lose, period.
Yeah, Allie, I don't think Haley and DeSantis are frenemies, as you described Trump and Ramaswamy earlier. So, John, we keep talking about the weather, how it could be a factor in turnout. We know Iowans, they're no strangers to this type of weather. Still, the high today in Des Moines is about -1. Might be harder for older people to get out. Your car has to start if you want to get someplace. So how could the weather really impact the race?
It's the gigantic X factor here, Joe. I mean, when we've talked to folks who were, longtime political operatives in Iowa, talked to the campaigns, the consensus that emerges here is that that a lower turnout probably has more of an effect on Nikki Haley's base because her base is more loosely affiliated. If you look at the NBC News polling, her voters are less enthusiastic, or a smaller share of her voters are enthusiastic than, say, for Trump or for Ron DeSantis. She's got I think 43% of her voters say they would vote for Joe Biden, which means she's got a lot of independents and Democrats who are voting for her who may not be inclined to come out and vote for a Republican. If you are out in Iowa, you know that the roads are packed with ice. You mentioned the temperature of 1 below is the high. It is hard to explain how cold it is when you are below zero.
Without a doubt. That is why both of you are starting this long day indoors. Ali Vitale, John Allen, we appreciate you both. Thank you so much for kicking us off this hour. Let's bring in NBC News senior political editor Mark Murray for a closer look at what we can expect. So Mark, break down the latest polling numbers for us with Caucus Day finally here. Just what stands out?
Well, one thing that stands out is obviously Donald Trump's lead, 28 points over his nearest competitor, Nikki Haley. Joe, just to put that into perspective, the largest Republican non-incumbent margin of victory in the Iowa caucuses was 13 points by Bob Dole in 1988. Donald Trump, if this polling ends up holding, would end up doubling, if not even tripling that margin. And of course, we have the really close place for second place between Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis. But Joe, what also stands out in the poll, and John Allen was just talking about this, is just the enthusiasm given the weather. And our poll breaks down that Donald Trump has a large lead when it comes to having the most enthusiastic backers. Then it's Ron DeSantis. And then well below that is Nikki Haley. And if Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis are in a close place for second place, those enthusiasm numbers really could be determinative, Joe.
Especially on a cold night like tonight. So, Mark, just what are some of the key groups, the key demos in the electorate that you're tracking as we head into caucuses that help us understand what's happening right now within the GOP, especially in Iowa?
Yeah, when we talk about the Iowa caucuses, we always focus on evangelical Christians who make up about half of likely Republican caucus goers. And Donald Trump has an enormous lead. More than 50% of evangelicals in our poll back Donald Trump. Trump also has large leads among first-time caucus goers as well as registered Republicans. But where Nikki Haley is actually doing very well, and John Allen was just alluding to this, is among independents, where the race between Donald Trump and Nikki Haley is much closer. The one downside for Nikki Haley is that independents make up a smaller share of the potential electorate in these caucuses than registered Republicans do.
And Mark, so far we have not seen former President Trump's many legal issues cut into his support. In fact, a lot of evidence, statistical and anecdotal, suggests the indictments are boosting his support. But the polling numbers, what are they telling us about that?
We've been asking this poll question in our Iowa poll, Joe, over the last several months now, and it continues to show that 3/4 of likely Republican caucus goers think that former President Donald Trump can defeat Joe Biden despite the legal challenges that he faces. Just a sliver of the electorate, 23%, end up believing that the legal challenges make it nearly impossible to defeat President Joe Biden. So most, not all, but most Republicans who are going to be participating today have brushed aside the legal concerns for the former president.
All right, Mark Murray setting us up perfectly for tonight. Thank you as always. We appreciate it. And tonight, stay with NBC News for all your Iowa caucus coverage. Kristen Welker, Hallie Jackson, and Tom Yamas will have live coverage and analysis all night long, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern right here on NBC News Now. Good morning. Thanks for joining us on this Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I'm Joe Fryer. Savannah is on assignment. Ready or not, the first nominating contest of the 2024 presidential campaign is now upon us. Republican voters in Iowa will caucus tonight to pick their state's nominee. Former President Trump is counting on his backers' enthusiasm as his rivals crisscross the state, hoping to win over those who are still undecided. Hardy Iowa caucus goers will have to face dangerous sub-zero temperatures to show their support.
You're going to be first in the nation. So brave the weather and go out and save America, because that's what you're doing.
You're never going to have an opportunity where your voice and your vote is going to pack as much of a punch as it will tomorrow night.
I know it's going to be cold tomorrow. I get it. I know it's going to be cold. But think about this. You get to set the direction for the country.
A new NBC News Des Moines Register and Mediacom poll shows that Trump has a nearly 30-point lead over former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, followed by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy. In just a moment, we're going to go one-on-one with NBC News senior political editor Mark Murray to discuss the final poll heading into the caucus. But let's begin with NBC News correspondent Ali Vitale in Des Moines and senior national politics reporter John Allen. Allie, let's start with you. After steering clear of Iowa in the final week leading up to the caucuses, former President Trump, he returned to the state over the weekend, continues to enjoy that comfortable lead in all the polls. So what is his strategy heading into the caucus?
Well, look, Joe, he continues to enjoy that comfortable lead. He's had that, frankly, the entirety of this primary. He's also continued to be comfortable hitting down at whoever is in second, ensuring that that lead stays as large as it is right now. For him, we saw him over the course of the prior few months continually attack Ron DeSantis. That could be in part an explanation for why DeSantis has seen such a decline in the polls here in Iowa. Instead, we see DeSantis's momentum being eclipsed by that of former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, and that's probably why Haley was drawing the ire of Trump. It's something that the Haley campaign is certainly aware of, something that you hear Nikki Haley herself often dismiss as the fellas coming at her. But certainly this has been Donald Trump's strategy the entire time, not just fight his battles in court, which in theory should be a political liability. Instead, he's trying to turn that into an asset and something that helps coalesce his base around him. And he's also hitting back at whoever his nearest rival is, or really whoever his rival is. We've seen him spar with, I think, every single person left in the field at this point, even Vivek Ramaswamy, who has been sort of frenemy to him out here on the campaign trail. So it's Trump and everyone else, and I think Trump is making that known out here.
All right. So, John, we know this is really then because of that largely viewed as a race for second place between Haley and DeSantis. What does a win look like in Iowa for either of those candidates, and what are their possible scenarios moving forward?
Yeah, it's a great question, Joe. Number one, for either one of these candidates getting into second place, and when I say either one, I mean Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis, winning second place is the big win. Then you could talk about margin a little bit. In the latest NBC News poll, as you showed, Trump's got 48, Nikki Haley's got 20, Ron DeSantis has 16, which sets its own expectation. If you're Ron DeSantis and you came in third in that final Iowa poll and you get to second, then you get to tell your donors that you've got a little bit of momentum, that the polls don't always show the truth. You get to tell your supporters that. Nikki Haley, she comes in second here. She is right now in second place in New Hampshire, closer to Trump in New Hampshire than she is in Iowa. She gets to claim a bounce if she comes in second. But again, if you zoom out, the big picture here is that Donald Trump is the dominant force and the prohibitive favorite, not only to win in Iowa, but also to win the Republican nomination.
So, Allie, with both DeSantis and Haley going back and forth at each other, trying to get those undecided voters, I know you got to speak with the former South Carolina governor recently. She didn't hold back. What did she have to say?
Yeah, we spent some time with her backstage before one of her events yesterday, and she's not holding back when it comes to DeSantis. Of course, that's not exactly new. They're not holding back when it comes to each other. I think many of us watched that one-on-one debate. But DeSantis has unveiled a sort of new strategy, not saying that he's going to go next to New Hampshire after Iowa, but that he'll go immediately to South Carolina. It is a sort of challenge in Nikki Haley's home court, and one that I asked her about from her rival. This is what she said about it.
I mean, he's only played in Iowa. He's invisible in New Hampshire. He's invisible in South Carolina. He's 4th and 5th place in both of those. I mean, I welcome him to South Carolina, but we're headed to New Hampshire. That's the next state that votes. Somebody might want to tell him that.
There's that South Carolina charm of, I welcome him. It's like the equivalent of a political bless your heart, I think, Joe. But still, I don't think there's much love lost between these two candidates. And for Nikki Haley, she knows that her road to Trump goes through Ron DeSantis. It's why they're hoping for a second place finish here so that they can solidify the theme that they've been pushing towards the entire time. They want to now underscore it with results. The idea that it is Haley versus Trump, a one-on-one race for the Republican nomination, despite the fact, as John said, the forest from the trees here is that this is Trump's race to lose, period.
Yeah, Allie, I don't think Haley and DeSantis are frenemies, as you described Trump and Ramaswamy earlier. So, John, we keep talking about the weather, how it could be a factor in turnout. We know Iowans, they're no strangers to this type of weather. Still, the high today in Des Moines is about -1. Might be harder for older people to get out. Your car has to start if you want to get someplace. So how could the weather really impact the race?
It's the gigantic X factor here, Joe. I mean, when we've talked to folks who are, longtime political operatives in Iowa, talked to the campaigns, the consensus that emerges here is that that a lower turnout probably has more of an effect on Nikki Haley's base because her base is more loosely affiliated. If you look at the NBC News polling, her voters are less enthusiastic, or a smaller share of her voters are enthusiastic than, say, for Trump or for Ron DeSantis. She's got I think 43% of her voters say they would vote for Joe Biden, which means she's got a lot of independents and Democrats who are voting for her who may not be inclined to come out and vote for a Republican. If you are out in Iowa, you know that the roads are packed with ice. You mentioned the temperature of 1 below is the high. It is hard to explain how cold it is when you are below 0.
Without a doubt, that is why both of you are starting this long day indoors. Allie Vitale, John Allen, we appreciate you both. Thank you so much for kicking us off this hour. Let's bring in NBC News senior political editor Mark Murray for a closer look at what we can expect. So Mark, break down the latest polling numbers for us with Caucus Day finally here. Just what stands out?
Well, one thing that stands out is obviously Donald Trump's lead, 28 points over his nearest competitor, Nikki Haley. Joe, just to put that into perspective, the largest Republican non-incumbent margin of victory in the Iowa caucuses was 13 points by Bob Dole in 1988. Donald Trump, if this polling ends up holding, would end up doubling, if not even tripling that margin. And of course, we have the really close place for second place between Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis. But Joe, what also stands out in the poll, and John Allen was just talking about this, is just the enthusiasm given the weather. And our poll breaks down that Donald Trump has a large lead when it comes to having the most enthusiastic backers. Then it's Ron DeSantis, and then well below that is Nikki Haley. And if Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis are in a close place for second place, those enthusiasm numbers really could be determinative, Joe.
Especially on a cold night like tonight. So, Mark, just what are some of the key groups, the key demos in the electorate that you're tracking as we head into caucuses that help us understand what's happening right now within the GOP, especially in Iowa?
Yeah, when we talk about the Iowa caucuses, we always focus on evangelical Christians who make up about half of likely Republican caucus goers. And Donald Trump has an enormous lead. More than 50% of evangelicals in our poll back Donald Trump. Trump also has large leads among first-time caucus goers as well as registered Republicans. But where Nikki Haley is actually doing very well, and John Allen was just alluding to this, is among independents, where the race between Donald Trump and Nikki Haley is much closer. The one downside for Nikki Haley is that independents make up a smaller share of the potential electorate in these caucuses than registered Republicans do.
And Mark, so far we have not seen former President Trump's many legal issues cut into his support. In fact, a lot of evidence, statistical and anecdotal, suggests the indictments are boosting his support. But the polling numbers, what are they telling us about that?
We've been asking this poll question in our Iowa poll, Joe, over the last several months now, and it continues to show that 3/4 of likely Republican caucus goers think that former President Donald Trump can defeat Joe Biden despite the legal challenges that he faces. Just a sliver of the electorate, 23%, end up believing that the legal challenges make it nearly impossible to defeat President Joe Biden. So most, not all, but most Republicans who are going to be participating today have brushed aside the legal concerns for the former president.
All right, Mark Murray setting us up perfectly for tonight. Thank you as always. We appreciate it. And tonight, stay with NBC News for all your Iowa caucus coverage. Kristen Welker, Hallie Jackson, and Tom Yamas will have live coverage and analysis all night long, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern right here on NBC News Now. Millions of Americans are waking up to below freezing temperatures this morning with an Arctic chill blanketing much of the country. Millions are under wind chill alerts. The weather even forced the NFL to postpone a playoff game in Buffalo this weekend. That game now scheduled for tonight. Still, record-breaking low temps are expected for the next couple days. NBC News correspondent Jesse Kirsch takes us into the tundra.
Joe, good morning from a blustery Grand Rapids, Michigan. You might be able to see the snow blowing across the screen right now. It has been windy here, and we have been getting snowfall here in western Michigan since Tuesday, every day since. Take a look at some of the accumulation here. This is a fire hydrant. You can see how much snow is on top of it right now, and it's obviously, you know, coming up along the side as well. But honestly, there probably was even more snow on that at some point because of these wind gusts blowing snow around, and that has made visibility difficult. We've seen snow stretching all over this region. Of course, the Buffalo Bills game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, a playoff game, was postponed and moved to today because of conditions in western New York. Unfortunately, this series of winter storms appears to be responsible for at least 4 deaths across the country, and there's more tough weather on the way. Much of the country could see temperatures 20 to 45 degrees below average today. Roads have been treacherous, and flights have been challenged as well. According to flight tracker FlightAware, there are more than 1,400 flights canceled that are tied to U.S. airports today alone. We do know officially that hundreds of flights over the weekend were canceled because of weather. So that new total for today, of course, could factor in any number of things. But there are travel issues across the country, and we know that it has been tough to get around because of the weather as well. And as I mentioned, we are not past all of this yet. Joe.
All right, Jesse Kirsch, thank you so much. Let's bring in meteorologist Michelle Grossman tracking the dangerously low temps for us. Oh, Michelle, good morning.
Good morning, Joe. It is dangerously cold out there. It's life-threatening in some spots. We have spots where if you're out for 5-10 minutes, you could get frostbite. So we're talking about temperatures feeling like -40 in some spots in the northern plains. And that's going to stay in place today, tomorrow, Wednesday. And then we have another round of Arctic blasts that's going to affect us for the rest of the week. So 105 million people impacted by wind chill alerts from the northern plains to the Ohio Valley. South central states were really chilly there. Temperatures feeling like below 0 in some spots. South central states also really chilly as well along the Gulf Coast. So we're dangerously cold right now. We're feeling like -47 in Minot right now. It feels like -36 in Duluth. So it's not just the air temperatures that's dangerous. You factor in winds that are gusting to 20, 30 miles per hour, and it feels much colder than that. Look as you go all the way down to Houston. It feels like 19 degrees right now, feeling like -8 in Fort Worth. We're not used to those temperatures there. Then as we go throughout the rest of today, we're looking at temperatures staying staying frigid today, tomorrow, Wednesday. We start to moderate a bit before we get that second blast by Thursday. So Buffalo, we're into the 20s Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday with that snow in place still. Sioux Falls, we're looking at 6 degrees Tuesday, Wednesday, 14 degrees. We're still chilly in Memphis. Temperatures below freezing Monday and Tuesday, right at the freezing mark on Wednesday. And that cold air is into Boston, too. Temperatures into the 30s, so just above freezing today. What does that mean? I know this is a big story. We've heard a lot about this. How will this impact the caucus? And we're looking at temperatures so frigid. At least the snow has stopped. We're looking at temperatures, the wind chill, minus 32 in Fort Dodge. Same story in Mason City, Spencer, Iowa. We're looking at minus 37. So really, really frigid temperatures. It's going to be howling, too, with the winds blowing 20 to 30 miles per hour. So that's the big weather story today. The second big weather story today, we're looking at winter alert. So we have lots of cold air in place that is setting the stage for snow across the country. We're looking at 96 million people impacted in portions of the Intermountain West, the Rockies, the South Central states, into the lower Mississippi Valley, the Tennessee Valleys, the Mid-Atlantic, and then eventually into the Northeast, the Great Lakes. Buffalo, you're going to see another foot of snow today. You're just being socked in with the snow. So we're looking at a mixed bag of weather, right? What does that mean? We're looking at snow. That's in the blue. We're looking at some freezing rain, some sleet falling in spots. That's going to make for very tricky travel. On the warmer side, we're looking at rain, and we're looking at some showers and storms in portions of Florida. But I do want to show you this because that lake effect snow machine is on in Buffalo, that steady stream of snow over Buffalo. Where you see those whiter blues, those whiter colors, that's where we're looking at the heaviest snow falling. So we're still looking at a winter storm warning this morning. We're looking at a winter storm watch Tuesday through Thursday, and again, could see another foot of snow. So just a mess out there. This is really due to that cold air in place, allowing for all this snow to take place. And we could break our snowless streak in New York City by tomorrow. Finally. So what is it, like 706 days?
No, it's been a while.
I think we'll do it tomorrow morning. It's going to be a tricky commute tomorrow for many of us, too.
And for those who've just been complaining about the lack of winter,
here it is.
Winter is here.
You're happy now.
All right, Michelle, thank you so much. Appreciate it. The political world is not just centered on Iowa today. On Capitol Hill, congressional leaders from both parties have reached a short-term spending deal to keep the government open until March. The deal comes just in time. Some parts of the government were set to run out of money this upcoming Friday. NBC News congressional correspondent Julie Sirkin joins us now with more on this. So, Julie, what are we learning about the deal?
Yeah, hey, Joe, good morning. Well, this is going to be structured effectively the same as that last stopgap government funding measure that took us into these two deadlines, the first of which you point out coming this Friday. So basically that moves that deadline, January 19th, to March 1st, and then it moves the second deadline that would have been hit February 2nd down to March 8th. That's keeping that structure intact because some of those hardline conservatives in the House took Johnson at his word that he would not pass another short-term spending bill. They are nervous that the Senate, led by Democrats, could jam them with a big omnibus spending package. They want to make sure that House conservatives know they're still going to pass these items in two different buckets. So this is good news, averting that deadline potentially coming up at the end of the week, but they still have to get an agreement to pass it in the Senate and the House, and that inclement weather will certainly make that tricky with lawmakers set to return tomorrow night, Joe.
Yeah, so Speaker Johnson held a call last night with House Republicans to discuss the negotiations. Do we at this point have any indication on whether he'll have the votes needed from his own party to get this passed before Friday's deadline?
Joe, there were certainly a lot of voices, a lot of opinions raised on this call last night. Sources told me that Johnson did take a lot of incoming from Republicans who, again, are frustrated that he is continuing to go in this direction. He is following what his predecessor, Kevin McCarthy, had done in trying to keep the government open. And certainly this is going to be something to watch for Johnson. He's going to have to reach across the aisle. Unfortunately, the map just does not cut it for him. He has a very, very tight margin, even more so with one lawmaker, for example, getting into a car accident this weekend. Now he's going to be out. Johnson announced that at the call yesterday. He's going to need Democrats to pass this along. It's going to be passed under what's called a suspension of rules. That means it's going to go straight to the floor, requiring 2/3 of the House. That means a lot of Democratic votes to get it across the finish line. Good news for them, though. Hakeem Jeffries, leader of Democrats in the House, had released a statement yesterday encouraging his members to vote in favor of this to avert that government shutdown on Friday. But certainly that's just going to mean more heat on Johnson from conservatives.
You mentioned the previous speaker, Kevin McCarthy. He faced similar inter-party clashes on government spending, and that is what ultimately cost him the gavel. So here's the question. Could we see a repeat? What are the challenges Johnson's facing right now?
Remember, this stopgap funding bill just gives them more time to process the full year spending agreements, keeping those in those two buckets that I talked about. but that just means that he's also going to need Democrats to vote to pass that top line spending bill, $1.6 trillion. They're going to divide them up. They're going to pass them in a series of bills. But we already heard from a lot of conservatives last week saying they're going to vote against it. They want Johnson, for example, to pair it with H.R. 2 with border security. He said, no way, that's not happening, keeping that linked with Ukraine instead. But he's going to have to rely across the aisle. And like you mentioned, Kevin McCarthy had to do that, and it cost him his job. So far, though, Joe, people are willing to give him a chance. I spoke to a handful of conservatives on Friday, for example. While they are criticizing Johnson, they say they're not willing to go as far as to threaten his job just yet. We'll see what happens as the months continue. But we also ended Friday with Johnson saying he's going to keep that top line agreement intact. He's not going to go away from it. And certainly that's going to anger conservatives.
All right, Julie Sirkin. Julie, thank you so much. Today marks the federal holiday honoring civil rights icon Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And for the 20th year, students at a Washington, D.C. elementary school celebrated Dr. King's birthday by gathering on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial to recite his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. It is the same spot where the civil rights icon spoke those words back in 1963. NBC4 reporter Juliana Valencia from NBC Washington takes us there.
A real-life lesson in civil liberties and racial healing.
I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation.
In front of the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, these fifth graders recite line by line Martin Luther King Jr.'s "I Have a Dream" speech.
Signed the Emancipation Proclamation.
An annual tradition for the National Park Service and D.C.'s Watkins Elementary School, which has brought students out of the classroom for this lesson for the last 20 years.
The opportunity for our students to stand on the steps to deliver the message around injustice, equality, and their role that they play.
Every child preparing months for this moment.
Like really nice for me to be practicing for those days and then finally get to let it out.
Demi and her friend Charlisa giving their own speeches.
I believe that if we come together hand in hand, like thousands stood hand in hand 61 years ago, we will accomplish great things.
Focused on two issues Martin Luther King Jr. spoke about: teamwork and gun violence.
What makes gun violence stand out is that it is the top cause of death for children in Washington, D.C. Dr. King stood up and spoke out to help Black community progress into what it is now. I would like to continue his legacy by changing my community to come together against gun violence.
The day after the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday is known as the National Day of Racial Healing. We spoke with a Howard University law professor who spent years studying racial justice about the state of our nation.
I don't believe the healing has even entered its most important phase, which is the phase of repair.
And as far as reaching Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream,
it's very clear that we have not reached Dr. King's dream. And we're going to see that likely in full effect this year in 2024, this election year.
For these children looking at history with fresh eyes, there is hope for the future.
Our thanks to Juliana Valencia for that report. Today, the celebrations and commemorations continue on what would have been Dr. King's 95th birthday. Every third Monday in January, we remember the man whose dream of equality still inspires so many. MLK Day is the only holiday designated as a national day of service. And on this day, Americans are encouraged to reflect on the fight for racial equality and to give back to their communities. Joining us now to help commemorate his legacy is Michelle Duster. She is the great-granddaughter of journalist, educator, and civil rights leader Ida B. Wells. Michelle, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. So, little history here. Legislation to honor MLK Jr. It was first introduced days after he was assassinated, but took 15 years before the holiday was approved by the federal government. Just talk to us about, in your mind, what is the significance of this day?
I think the significance of Martin Luther King Jr. Day is for the nation to reflect on what the full potential of the country is for all of its citizens.
And we should talk about what is happening right now in current times when it comes to Dr. King's legacy. Officials in several states are seeking to ban the teaching of Black history and African American studies in the battle of what's been called critical race theory. Talk to us about the fight for equality right now and where you think it's headed.
I think right now things are a little concerning because, everybody in this country should learn all of the history of this country in order for everybody to have the same perspective of who we are and where we can be.
We just heard from an expert a moment ago who said we still haven't reached Dr. King's dream. What do you think it's going to take to get to that dream?
I actually think education is the key, because I think the more that people know the truth about what happened and what can happen, the more that we can come together as a people and work together towards one focus and one dream.
As we continue in the fight for equality, just what are some of the ways, especially today, that people can honor Dr. King's legacy?
Obviously, service, find an organization that you can do some volunteer work with, but also even on a more simple level, just figuring out a way to be kind to somebody who doesn't look like you. We need to find humanity in all of us.
What is your main message to people who have a day off and maybe sometimes forget about why they have today off?
I think just reflecting on what this country can be for everybody. Everybody in this country should have the same opportunities to live up to their full potential. And so we need to work together as a country in order to make that possible.
All right. Michelle Duster, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate your time.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.